The content of this video may be disturbing or frightening to some viewers. Discretion is advised. These stories are found on Reddit's No Sleep subreddit.
Urban legends, the donkey lady. The tale goes that in the mid-1800s, a family of 4 settled near Elm Creek in San Antonio. One day, a wealthy man from the area came past their home and started to tease a donkey the family owned. When the animal bit the man out of fear, he became enraged and started beating it severely. The husband and wife heard the cries and ran outside. Seeing one of their livestock was close to death, they started to pelt rocks at the abusive man, who yelled expletives at them before leaving. Later that evening, he and a group of other men sneaked to the family's home and set it on fire in retaliation. They blocked the exits to make sure no one escaped. The husband was able to break through, but was immediately gunned down while he heard the screams of his wife and children being burned alive inside. Just as the mob was set to leave, a figure in flames stumbled out of the home. The wife. Her hands had been melted to nubs, her face became deformed and sagged from the fire, and her skin burnt black. She let out a piercing wail and hurled herself into the creek. Her body was never found.
You're next. Kelly lived for drama and gossip. Her day didn't begin until she was completely engrossed in someone else's misery. From messy affairs to backstabbing trash talk in the workplace, Kelly was constantly searching for the latest story. It wasn't enough to listen to idle gossip. She had to kindle the flames and spread rumors like wildfire. She didn't care who got hurt as long as she was entertained. Sometimes Kelly thought she'd be better off as a journalist than a cafe barista. There was a time when Kelly was diligently pursuing a journalism degree, but a particular scandal involving a few of her male professors put her college career to a premature end. It was disappointing, but she didn't regret what she did. Kelly had fun and was confident those professors did too. She still had emails saved on her phone calling her a rotten homewrecker who was going to hell. She didn't mind being hated by others since it was just another obsession. The spotlight always shone, radiantly on her. One day, on a slow Sunday afternoon, Kelly was behind the reception desk waiting listlessly for her shift to end. Hardly any customers came in that day, which meant there was a lack of new stories to discover. She mainly bothered working at Cafe Decadent Mocha because of the vast array of eccentric customers who frequented it. This meant it was expected to overhear incredibly provocative conversations and even see customers break out into fights. Without that, work just felt like work. Kelly released a loud yawn when a phone notification grabbed her attention. Nobody else was in the store, so she wondered where it came from. She exited the desk and began investigating the area until she found a phone in the back corner. A wicked smile flashed on Kelly's face. What better way to pry into someone's personal life than by looking into their phone? Kelly snatched the device up and put it in her back pocket, more eager than ever for her shift to end. She practically bolted out the door once 4 p.m. arrived. She headed home and plopped down on her living room couch with a glass of wine. Kelly expected to find a treasure trove of juicy secrets, but found nothing instead. The phone had no personal data, which meant no social media accounts, text conversations, or search history for Kelly to review. This was so disappointing that it killed her entire mood. She almost felt like chucking the phone away when she got the idea to check the photos. She first saw a gallery of attractive women photographed from several angles. The women seemed unaware of being photographed, and some were even undressed. "Looks like someone is a nasty little peeping Tom," Kelly smirked as she scrolled through more of the gallery. The women spanned multiple occupations: nurses, chefs, teachers, etc. Kelly froze when she saw the picture of a librarian reading at a desk. She vaguely recognized her face since she was in the news as a missing person. Reports said she was abducted from her job. The same was true for the next woman Kelly saw. She was an aspiring actress who was never heard from again after going to a casting call. It soon became apparent that most of the women featured had turned up in the news as either missing or dead. A cold sweat came over Kelly. This guy wasn't just some stalker, he was a cold-blooded criminal. When Kelly saw the last image on the folder, she dropped the phone to the floor with a sickening thud. There was a picture of her with the words, "You're next," hovering over his face. She didn't have any time to scream before she heard a heavy pair of footsteps echo right behind her. She soon felt the sting of a needle shooting into her right arm and injected her with a fatal chemical. She had no time to scream or even try to run away. Her body slumped to the ground while her attacker hovered over her with a knife in his hand. The news of Kelly's brutal death made her the talk of the town for several days to come. Even in death, she found a way to be the center of gossip.
My wife forgot to delete her browser history. I can't believe what I found. 4:34 p.m. How to stop your husband from cheating. I had only clicked on the history tab to delete the last thing I'd searched for when I noticed the entry. Hurriedly, I finished zipping up my fly and stared at it in bewilderment. Amy and I had been almost too careful. We had never looked at one another in my wife's presence, let alone done anything that could have raised suspicion. She could not have known what was going on, even if she had looked through my phone. With a heavy heart, I'd forced myself to delete any incriminating photos Amy sent me after I was done with them, and we had a strict call-only policy. Amy was our latest hire, and aside from being great at her job, she excelled at garnering male attention. Everyone loved her. She was strikingly beautiful and uninhibited to the point where her energy felt almost carnal, sending all morals and restraints out the window. I tried to ignore her at first, even finding excuses to go home early, but eventually her charming giggle got the better of me too. 4:37 p.m. How much does divorce cost? Droplets of sweat sprang out on my forehead. What? Was my wife planning to divorce me? But why? There was no way she knew about Amy and me. Was there someone else? Was she planning to accuse me of infidelity, all while going at it with some lover boy she'd met at her yoga class? 4:39 p.m. Why do humans feel emotions? I pursed my lips. If by some miracle my wife did know about the affair, I couldn't imagine the way she must have been feeling. I woke up late this morning and found a note on the kitchen table saying that she didn't want to wake me and that she was out doing her Saturday errands. I almost felt compelled to call her and, I flinched as a significant drop of blood landed on the keyboard. What the hell? My first instinct was to look up at the ceiling. Nothing. A metallic solid smell made me come to my senses. I brushed my hand against my face. A bright red smudge sat on my palm. I stared at it, alarmed. I'd never gotten nosebleeds before, aside from the time I got hit in the face with a football in high school. My head raised, I scrambled to my feet and made a dash for the bathroom, my hands cupping my throbbing nose. Once I had managed to stop the bleeding and cleaned myself up, I returned to the computer. 4:44 p.m. Which part of the brain is responsible for love? This was an oddly specific search. I couldn't recall my wife ever being interested in science or biology. I checked the account and logged into the browser just in case. Perhaps this was someone else's history altogether? Or maybe we'd been hacked. No. Seemed like everything was in order. My wife's smiling face stared back at me from the login window. What was she doing searching for brain parts anyway? 4:49 p.m. What is excerebration? What? What was excerebration? Some fancy divorce? I'd never heard of the term in my life. I didn't hesitate before clicking it, eager to find out what my wife was planning for us. I wish I hadn't. As the results appeared on the monitor, my stomach lurched and my gag reflex kicked in. The images were graphic enough for my hand to gravitate towards the return button automatically, but a short paragraph in bold caught my eye. An ancient procedure involving chiseling through the bone of the nose to scoop out the brain matter. My heart hammering in my chest, I clicked the back button and scanned the rest of the entries. 5:01 p.m. Can a person live without the hypothalamus? 5:05 p.m. Location of the hypothalamus. 5:11 p.m. How much temazepam is safe? My skin crawled as I read, but I couldn't look away. I was so immersed that I didn't hear the front door bang. Honey, I'm home. I stared at the wall, too shocked to reply. What was I meant to say? How was I supposed to ask her about all this? Hello? She called again, her heels clacking towards me. Hey, I choked, throwing the box of tissues into the drawer. How was... Oh, good, she smiled as she appeared in the doorway. How are you? You had quite a lot to drink last night. I stammered. I did? She studied me as though she wasn't sure whether I was joking. What's all this? I asked, gesturing to the computer screen. She joined me at the desk, frowning at the clammy wood surface. What? I pointed at the browsing history, my index finger shaking visibly. Oh, she flushed, 2 pink spots appearing on her cheeks. Well, you did say we could try it, so I had to do a little research, you know. What? I said we could try, what? Oh, she waved her hand dismissively. The excess something, you probably know better. My blood ran cold. The excerebration. Karen, what did you do? But before she could say anything, a splash of blood landed on the carpet, and then another one, and another. Karen watched me, her skin growing pale. Ooh, what? Suddenly, a small, fleshy lump escaped my nostril and rolled down the front of my shirt. We both stared at it in shocked silence. Then, my wife screamed, turning on her heel to flee the room, but I caught up to her, pinning her against the wall. "Tell me what the fuck you did." She tried to fight me, writhing under my grip, but I held on tight. Blood was streaming into my mouth and down my chin, staining both of our clothes. "How can you not remember?" she screeched, trying to elbow me in the ribs. "Don't you remember what you did?" I stared at her panic-stricken face, trying my best to recall any memories from the previous night. "No. What did I do?" You came home after work and told me you were leaving me for Amy," she sobbed. "You said you didn't want to love her, but you did." I stood there quietly, mulling it over as more pulp splashed onto my stomach. We need to call you an ambulance," Karen shrieked, trying to pull away. "What the fuck is that?" "Then what happened?" I demanded, my heart practically leaping out of my chest. "Tell me what you did." "What the fuck, John?" she screamed. "We got drunk, okay? We got wasted. And then you said you knew of a way to fix this, to fix us. You said there's something called hypothalamus in your brain, and if removed, it would stop you from loving Amy." I felt like I was having an out-of-body experience. What the hell was she saying? Had she attempted to remove a part of my brain? And, "Wait," I whispered, "who's Amy?" Her expression made me feel foolish for not remembering. I knew that name, Amy. It sounded so familiar, and yet I couldn't put my finger on it for my life. What the fuck do you mean?" She sounded bewildered. "Amy, the girl you were cheating on me with for 6 months?" I don't," I mouthed, releasing my wife and crumpling to the floor. "I don't remember." Karen stared at me, her white blouse resembling a massacre, her mouth pressed into a thin line. What's happening to me?" I whispered. She was silent momentarily, but I could see her eyes brimming with tears. "Honey, what if I accidentally hit your hippocampus instead?" "What? That told me nothing." "For fuck's sake, Karen, I'm not a fucking encyclopedia. Enlighten me, what the hell is a hippocampus?" Nothing could have prepared me for what she said next. "Honey," she sobbed, "you're a doctor. It's the memory part of your brain."
Thanks for stepping into the shadows with Mr.Scareme. If our tales gave you chills, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell icon to never miss a scare. Remember, with Mr.Scareme, fear is just a click away. Until next time, stay spooky.